Hi, good morning and afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Totango's webinar titled The CEO's Perspective on What Customer Success Should Be. We're thrilled to have our customer here from Conductor, the CEO, Seth Besmertnik. But we're excited to have him here and have a CEO to CEO conversation with Totango CEO, Guy Nirpaz. In case some of you don't know, Totango is the leader in the customer success space, and Conductor is the next generation web presence management tool. I'm going to go ahead and introduce everyone to the overview of the webinar. What are we going to cover today? Basically, what we're here to find out is what is Seth's perspective, what is the CEO's perspective on exactly what is customer success, what should it be, and then moving on into why is customer success technology important? How does it impact both three levels, him on a personal level, his team, and also the overall organization. And then we're going to dive into what is Seth's suggestions and recommendations to other CEOs and other executives that are just starting to think about customer success, or maybe they have customer success but they don't have customer success technology. All of these things are going to be covered, and we'll end with some Q&A. In the bottom left corner of your webinar platform is the chat window where you can submit questions at any time throughout the presentation, and we'll answer as many as possible. And yes, to some people who are already asking, the slides will be available in a PDF after the presentation. So let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to turn it over to Seth and let him give an introduction to what Conductor is. Seth?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for the opportunity. Really excited to be here. Excited to talk about one of the things that is most dearest in my life, which is success of customers. So just a brief background on Conductor, just so everybody knows. Just where we're at in our company life cycle. I'm the founder, CEO of the company. We launched our SaaS platform about 5 years ago. Today we've got over 500 customers, and we work with generally like mid-market and enterprise customers, and we've got a really heterogeneous customer base across really almost every vertical, and we've got companies that are high growth, early stage companies like Birchbox and Box, and then we've got large enterprises and big conglomerates that work with us as well. And they use our technology as a platform to help them understand how their customers are expressing intent on the web, where are they searching, and how do they make it so their content gets found in places where in organic channels like Google search and Pinterest and YouTube, and really how do you reach people when you can't reach them with your ads. So it's a complicated problem, and the technology is changing constantly. So we release software every month, and the customer success problem was very different 2 years ago than it is today, and it's really evolving. We've got just from a company perspective, we've got over 30 people in customer success today, and that's broken up over. We have people who manage renewals and upsells as their own team. We have CSMs who are working with customers on a dedicated basis to do everything from onboarding, support, strategy, best practices, new feature training. And then we've got a support and operations team that manages our knowledge base, our in-product chat, our in-product guidance, and all of the sort of one-to-many activities. So it's a growing team. It's something we've learned a lot about what works and what doesn't work, and we're constantly working on making it better.
All right. Thanks very much, Seth. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is Guy Nirpaz, CEO and co-founder of Totango. And Seth, that was great introduction to the Conductor and the challenge that you are kind of going through. And if you recall, we had this panel on the Customer Success Summit earlier this year in March, and I really like the way you framed your perspective on customer success. Obviously, customer success is new, is hype. Everyone talks about it, but how do you define what customer success is, and how did your thinking evolve over the years that you've been running Conductor?
Yeah, it's a big question. It's a big question. So, I think about it on a lot of levels. So, as a founder of a company, when you're thinking about when you're in your garage and you're thinking about your big vision for your company, usually in that vision, you're not like, oh, and we're going to have this incredible customer success organization, and it's going to have lots of people, and they're going to be so smart and brilliant, and people are going to love them. That's usually not part of your vision. And another way of looking at that same sort of lens is that if you think about some of the best products out there, I know I used the example when we were working on the content for this, the Nest, the thermostat that you put in your apartment or your house, and these are products that people love, and when you think about those products, you never think about, oh, well, I love my Nest thermostat. There's a guy that works at Nest, and whenever I have a problem, I call him up. You don't need to call anybody up. It just works, and it solves the problem. And one of the things I like about Nest is every week they give you an email, and it tells you, here's what's happened, here's what's happening versus your neighbors, and here's your trends, and it kind of gives you all the information. It really keeps you engaged, but it's all done through great technology. The reality is that when you're building a software company from scratch, like every company starts, it takes a long time for your vision to become a reality. In some cases, it could take 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. We've been building the product for six or 7 years now, and we're still really far from realizing our vision. So what that means is, in between the time when the vision is realized and where you are today, you need oftentimes you need people to connect the dots between the problems you're trying to solve and how you solve them. And that's just something that you have to really embrace, and that's what I think customer success is connecting those dots between the reality of where your product is and the gap between where it is versus your vision or the problems you're trying to solve. And it's an incredible opportunity for companies, whether you're a startup or you're a large opportunity, and it can help you sell better, it can help you grow customers faster, and it has the ability to just really propel a company. And if you think about where the word customer success first started, which was Salesforce.com in their early days, they also never started when they built Salesforce, they weren't like, oh, we're going to have lots of customer success people. Now they have thousands of them. But they realized that it's not that easy to get people to adopt software. It's not easy to change your business process. And that if you do customer success and you're proactive, you can really change the way people work, and you have a chance to actually make them successful. So that's kind of how we think about it here, and we're trying to get a lot smarter in how we do it, because the reality is that people don't want to talk to people. They just want to have everything be like Nest, where it just works. So how do you do customer success in a way that moves you forward and doesn't frustrate your customers? And that's I think that's part of the science of it.
Yeah. So I guess kind of your point of view was kind of looking at that from the customer's perspective on customer success, and how do you meet those together. I've been trying with this slide to try and simplify what do you actually manage in customer success, and it really ties into how you think about it, which is customer success is first and foremost making the customer journey very smooth, the onboarding, the adoption, the value that is being delivered. But there's a process behind it. That's the team that is actually taking action and making sure that it happens. And there's the outcome to it, which is the business success, because at the end of the day, customer success is to ensure the customer success, which will ensure your business success. Would you kind of agree to this framing? Do you have anything to add on this type of framing?
Yeah, I mean, we've gone from customer success being about the people that we use to work with our customers, and then we've really broadened it to be about really trying to expand the experience. So that now includes today, our customer success includes our technical support, it includes our knowledge base, it includes our community, it includes our professional services and training programs that we run, and universities and webinar content, and anything that we do that's not like pure software, but that's part of the customer experience. We have that as a holistic kind of customer success. And I think when you're running a customer success function, you need to think strategically about how you set it up, and it can't just be about, how many bodies and what's my ratio of CSMs to customers. It needs to be about, the whole experience, because again, ultimately, people don't want to talk to CSMs. They want to learn how to use the product and be successful. So it's not the only way to do customer success.
So, it's a good, I guess it's a good slogan to talk customer success is all about the customer experience, which kind of is a good tease up into the next question, and what actually drove this webinar for us talking today. This is an email that you sent out to me after you've seen our latest release of Account Profile. And I guess, now that I hear what you just said, that it actually ties into your thinking where customer success technology is actually important and is meaningful to your business at more than one level. So can you talk a little bit more about that? I mean, what makes this reaction of you as a CEO? You have a lot of other things to deal with. How come this becomes so, intimately connected with the way you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one is every time I send an email from now and the rest of my life, I'm gonna be a little more thoughtful, because it might end up in a webinar with hundreds of people. But I'm, and I'm also surprised that I don't know if there's any grammatical mistakes here, but I'm surprised if there's not. But I think it's so important on many levels. So I'm gonna kind of go through some of the levels. So one is, we're a software as a service company, meaning our product's hosted in the cloud, and when people log into it, we get to see what's going on. One of the challenges that software companies have is that the incredible people who are building your product, your engineers, your product managers, like everybody who works on the product, they actually, ironically, don't get to talk to customers that much. They don't get to talk to customers. They don't see them. They don't know what they're doing. So one thing is, one of the things I love about Totango, and one of the reasons I use it just as the CEO is I love to see people logging in our product all day, what they're doing, where they're spending time. When we make new features, are people using them? Are they consuming them? Are they bouncing? Like, it makes me feel alive. It makes me feel like something's actually happening. To me, that's important. Now, that's just kind of me, and that's like I have the Totango activity streams running in our in front of our engineers all day long. So it's kind of like constant reinforcement, like, hey, people are in the product all day long. So whether it's like don't fuck up the code, or whether it's like, hey, isn't that awesome? I mean, I think it's awesome. But I think that's not the reason why you have customer success technology. The reason why you have it is so you can use that data to do a better job. And today at Conductor, we use it in our product team. So when we release new features, we look at KPIs like, hey, we're going to make this new feature, and if we're successful, then this many customers are going to use it, and this is how it's going to change their behavior. So we use it to understand whether new products are actually working or not. And then more importantly, we have a team of customer success managers that use it to see which customers are healthy, which ones are not, and then they can spend their time differently. Before we had Totango, it's kind of like it's like almost embarrassing to say, but we would basically have our CSMs would spend an equal amount of time with every customer. So if they're managing 20 customers, each customer gets a day a month. Now, and the thing is, some customers are off and running and they don't need your help. And those customers were getting frustrated, like, I got to talk to my CSM, and they're like almost like the CSM's like annoying them. And then we have other customers that need lots of help, but they still only got one day a week. So when we use Totango, we're able to look at each CSM's portfolio and the broader portfolios across the company, and we're able to see where are customers thriving, where are they struggling, and then we can use our resources disproportionately to where we have where our customers are not having success. And the only way to do that is by looking at data and looking at a trend and looking at things, and things change quickly. Like customers go from being red to green fast, and they go from being green to red fast. And if you're able to find out, hey, this customer all of a sudden it went from 10 people using it weekly to now nobody's using it or only one, like you got to call them up real fast and find out what's going on. And you might find out like, oh, like well, 2 weeks ago you guys had some bad data, so now the team is not trusting your product anymore, so they've bought some small tool, now they're using that. And it's like, and then you're like, well, why didn't you tell me that, customer? And they're like, well, it's not my job to tell you that, and that's just what we do, and customers don't tell you things. So now we are in a spot where we've got 6 months left in the renewal, and we know that we have a problem, and we have a chance to actually do something about it. And if we didn't have the data and we didn't have Totango, then we would just be, basically a sitting duck. And when we go to do the renewal at the end of the year, there'd be like, not only are we not renewing, but we've been using something else for this much time or whatever it is, and the ship has sailed already. So, I mean, that's one of the use cases, but you can't really, do customer success unless you know what's working and what's not. And the only way to do that is have technology to see what your customers are doing.
So that's kind of what I wrote so far is experience is improving and knowledge of the team is improving, so they can be more effective and be proportional to the volume of the problem that they need to deal with, or the volume of opportunity, if you will. So what made you kind of react so positively to the new representation of account information, the new account profile? What was it that kind of triggered your reaction? And I'm putting the part of the screen on in front of everyone just to take a look at that.
Well, I liked it because everyone's busy and everyone's got a lot going on and they're constantly changing context. So when you want to be able to get all the information you need very quickly and not have to bring together a whole bunch of different stuff. So, when I was just looking at the new account profile page, it kind of had all the questions I usually ask in one place. Okay, how long have they been a customer? When are they renewing? How much do they spend with us? Who's the CSM? Who's the account executive? How has their health changed over time? Is it good? Is it bad? How's it been going back and forth? What's going on with that? Those are the first things I have. And just, I don't know, I guess you've been listening to your customers, but that's exactly what I always want to know, and it's right there, the first thing. Now, once you've got that information, you can now dive in like a level deeper. So, I know the way I have our instance set up here, it's we look at, how's their activity been in the last, 90 days? We look at how many users are using the product, so that's big for us. Is the number of users trending upward, trending downward? And then we also look at how much time are those users spending in the product. And between those three metrics, I can really put an understanding of is the account healthy? Is it working? Is the CSM doing a good job? I can start to see who are the users that are spending the most time. What parts of the product are they using? We know that there's certain parts of the product that are higher value than others. So I can see hey, they might be using the product a lot, but they're using it in a very tactical way. So you can get pretty much everything that you need right in this. And you don't have to be smart to interpret the data. It's just it's really simple, and so that's why I got excited about it, because it saves us a lot of time. And I always try to think about we have great people at Conductor. Our CSMs are amazing, and our customers rave about them. But I want to be able to hire someone who's not amazing and have them be able to do their job, and this allows them to really do that. And that just means if they are amazing, they can even do more with the information.
That's great. Obviously, we are very, very proud here at Totango with the outcome of the new account profile. We've been listening very carefully to a lot of feedback, and we also kind of, just for the audience to know, we also learned that not one size fits all. So we've created a very good and comprehensive default, but we also made it extremely customizable. So if what you're looking for is not active users in the last 90 days and what you're looking for is web traffic in the last 30 days, you can still customize it to your business. But just that's a side note on the product. If you're interested in hearing more, there are several product webinars that are coming up, so tune in to those. They are on the Totango website. Seth, switching gears a little bit. So 5 years of SaaS experience, leading the space of web presence management, growing at rapid pace, both in terms of business and people. how do you what can you talk about in terms of impact of customer success technology to the bottom line of the company, or things that people don't usually think when they consider customer success technology?
Yeah, well, I think about it, ultimately, our goal, like a SaaS company, the most important metric for a SaaS company or software company is lifetime value, right? How long do your customers stay? Do they spend more money? And that's everything. If you have a good lifetime value, then you can spend more in sales and marketing, you can spend more in service, all of those good things. So we're all trying to do that. And it's not easy to have, customers for life and customers forever. So the macro benefit is this helps us be smarter about how we keep our customers. So for example, we've one of the big company initiatives for Conductor this year is about dramatically improving the onboarding experience for new customers. We want it so in the first 90 days, people are getting results, getting ROI, and they love Conductor. And we've made it a company-wide initiative. It's not just customer success team; it's everybody. And we go through metrics around it every week with the whole company. So it's a really, really big deal. One of the things we do is we have scores that help us understand are new customers getting successful, or how they trending, all that stuff. And we would have no way of measuring whether the things that we were doing are working if we didn't have a system, like if we didn't use Totango to measure how the onboarding experience is going. So I think it enables the company to not just do things, but actually measure whether they're working. And if you're running a good company, that's what you're trying to do, not just get stuff done, but actually get stuff done and get the results you want. So I think having it's so essential to being able to measure the outcomes of your work and understand whether people are doing a good job or not, and whether customers are getting what they want. That's from I think a pretty macro perspective, and ultimately getting more renewals, so your investors are happy, and as the CEO, I get to continue to have my wonderful job, and I can deliver for my shareholders, and get all the things I want.
What about the T-shirt that your daughter has?
The T-shirt my daughter has.
The T-shirt with the slogan saying "My dad is happy for using Totango."
Oh, I was just saying, yeah. We were talking yesterday. I was saying, if we can renew our customers better, then I'll go home from work happier, and then my daughter I'll be a better father because I'll be a happier dad. So I was trying to say that using Totango will make my kids happy.
And one step forward, world peace. But we'll get to that.
Yes.
Well.
And then hopefully my kids grow up to make a big impact on the world.
All right. So I guess we don't have much more time, and I've already seen that there are a lot of questions that are coming up. So maybe just kind of the one last question to you, Seth, before we go to the Q&A. What would you say to a CEO that is either early in his company, I mean the company is early, like what you've been 5 years ago, or CEOs that don't yet have kind of discovered the value of investment in customer success and experience and so forth? What would be your recommendation?
I have a lot of recommendations. So one is, it's okay. It's okay to invest in customer success. I think a lot of CEOs, particularly ones that have a product and technology background, will look at it as like they've been defeated. Like, oh my God, like I now need people. Like my product just doesn't do it all. So I think if you look at the most successful software companies in the world, like Salesforce, they have lots of people doing it. So there's no shame in customer success. It could be a huge weapon. I think that that's one piece of advice. The next piece of advice would be make sure that you set up your customer success so it does what you want it to do, but it doesn't stop the flow of feedback to your product and engineering team. So you want to keep making the product better and better. So don't let use customer success as like a shock absorber between the product and what the customers want. But make sure the information is flowing to the executive team and to the product and engineering team so they can actually, make the product better. You don't want them to stop that information. And I think that you want to be extremely. The last thing I'd say is just be really data driven, right? I mean, you want to don't just do stuff and then say, well, you know what, we're adding more CSMs or we're doing this. Like measure it. because it's a lot of these things are counterintuitive. You know, for example, we increased the ratios of CSMs to customers probably like 18 months ago. It had no impact on renewals, and we're like, well, we're spending so much more money. Why isn't it making a difference? And we realized it wasn't about the ratios; it was about other aspects. So you have to be data driven, and if you're not measuring it, then you can't know it's working. And then ultimately, if you're buying a technology to help you with this, don't focus. Just find something that's really practical and simple and easy to use. And that's why we like Totango, because literally just go in, you click an account, and you know everything, and it just works, and it's simple. And I think that's important.
Yeah, thanks. That's great advice. Christine, do we have some questions that are coming up from our listeners?
We do, and I'll go ahead and encourage everyone right now to go ahead and submit your questions. If you didn't hear me at the beginning, in the bottom left corner in the chat window. We have a few that have already come in. Seth, both of you guys would give some great point of views on this, but one person wanted to know, as a new customer success manager, the one-person show in a small but fast-growing startup, how do I make my voice more powerful inside the company to help produce better process success? And what's your CEO's perspective on that? How do they have a more powerful voice all the way up to the CEO level? Seth, do you want to take that one first?
Yeah, so one is, I think that I see the name Janelle. So Janelle, one is just kind of God bless you, right? That is a really hard job to be the first CSM. It's also an incredible job, and it's one that you could, you can become such an important person to the company over time as you do that job. So it's really hard, and it's frustrating because I know, like, for our first CSM. Just really hard. I mean, it's just the product doesn't do a lot, and the sales guys are selling ahead of what's the reality is, and all that kind of stuff. So stay strong. That's my first piece of advice. I would say that I think that you're going to have a lot of information, and there's going to be like 50 things that you want the company to do. I think that you should have two ways of sharing that information. One is where you just set up some kind of like real-time stream or something where, whether you're just forwarding everything and sending it into a pool, and just so it's like not, it's uncurated. But then I would actually take the time maybe every month and say, okay, here are all the different things that we've heard from customers. Based on my analysis, here are the 3 things that I think are the most common problems across all our customers that if we're able to address. So if you can give your product and engineering and the executive team just 3 things that you think are the most important, or 2 things, that actually will have a much bigger impact than if you told them the 20 things that need to happen, because then you might not, they just start to tune you out. So just, try to be mature and just focus on 1 or 2 things that can make a difference, and all of a sudden, you'll start to see more stuff getting done, and then ultimately, you'll have more respect, and those things will start to add up and make a difference. But it's a hard job, and and you just gotta be prepared for everything.
Yeah, I would agree with Seth, and I would say, in addition, one thing that, or 2 points that can make it even more effective. One is define the problem in the sense of a customer journey. Is it Is it within onboarding? Is it with regards to adoption? Is it with regards to escalation? It helps focus where the what the problem is. What are the roots of it? And secondly, is my personal belief of roundtables. Right, the customer success needs to be in a roundtable with sales, and needs to be in a roundtable with product. And these dialogues really need to work really well. I agree with Seth. Use some sort of instant communication channel, but also make sure that there are frequent meetings to take action items and follow up on them and make progress on those on a regular basis.
Great. Thanks, guys. So a couple questions for you, Seth. How many customers did Conductor have before you really started to build out your customer success team?
So I think we're a bad company to ask that question to, just because we actually had a service business that we started with, and then we ended up starting the software company and then selling the service business. So we had people that were already here just to do that. I would say though that I would, if I were starting a company from scratch again, I would probably the first thing I would do is set up really good email support and phone support so people can ask questions, do all of that. I would start to build a knowledge base, so every time people ask questions, you just record them and save the answers, and then have it so customers can access that, because it's just such a waste to get the questions and not record the answers for other people. But I would get a CSM right away, and for that first customer, because those first customers are so important. They're your early adopters, they're your references. So I would overload those guys with love and support and be there, and I would have a great CSM to start, and I would keep that ratio pretty high up until the point where I felt like customers were able to really cruise with the product, without needing as much handholding.
Great. Thanks. And I think this is a question that just came in. Guy, maybe take a stab at this one. But the person wrote, I believe data about logging in and time spent in the app is important. However, we serve a very niche sector of finance, and I think our customers would define their success based on things that are actually happening in their business. Do you have any experiences to share, best practices for CSMs to combine data from an app like Totango with context substance about the client's actual business? Kind of long.
Sure.
But Guy, you want to take that one?
Sure. Thanks, Christine. So I guess Beth's answer to this question is the key is not necessarily to take data from the application, which is about how people are using the application. The key is to be able to get the signals that give you the indication with regards to customer success and customer health. In some application, the best correlation, and most applications, the best correlation is how they use the product. In other, it could be their business outcomes, the results that they're getting from their business. This is, by the way, one of the motivations that we had when we rebuilt the account profile. So you can actually put the data that is kind of more contextual in your business. So definitely these are things that should be taken into considerations. I think the challenge, and like Seth kind of discussed this before, is to know what are the true signals and what really to measure. And in most cases, because measuring is difficult, people don't do it. And I think it's a mistake because it doesn't allow you to move fast enough. So if you cruise to Totango resources page, there's some document there about how we define health. We usually look at data from 5 different dimensions that are important. One of them is product usage. The other is the business results the customer is getting, utilization of the service, feedback you're getting from the customer, and also operational metrics like are they paying on time and so forth. So, but obviously you can get deeper than that. So if we summarize at a very high level, every business has slightly different set of signals with regards to what value for customer is. The important part is to be able to tune into those signals and streamline those into the technology platform that enables you to use that for improving the customer success and experience.
Great, thanks. Another question came in. It'd be good to get both of the CEO's perspective on this, but Seth, why don't you take it first? What metric do you think is the most important for customer success? What do you report on the most to probably the board and whatnot?
That's a tricky one.
Seth, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'll answer this in 2 ways just because there's 2 ways to think about this. So I think that the most important thing is are you renewing customers or not? I mean, that's, if customers are renewing with you, then that means that they're getting value or they think they're going to get value. So that's probably the most important number. I think in terms of what the customer success managers look at, they look at, are people using the product? But more importantly, it's, are the customers getting the outcomes that they want, right? So people buy your software not to use your software, but they buy it to do something for them, get more sales, get more customers, make better decisions. So we try to look at, are our customers getting more traffic? Are they beating their competition? Is their new content getting found better? So we look at our customer traffic and their market share growing as a testament, because ultimately, if they're using our product for all day long, every day, but they're not seeing any results, then their CEO is going to have a tough time renewing because what's the ROI? So I think those would be two different ways to look at the question.
Great. And Guy, do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, the reason I said it's a tricky question because it really much, there's obviously no single metric. I think the business metrics, as Seth mentioned, are renewals and churn rates, both in logos and revenue. From a customer success perspective, it's from a team's perspective, it's the efficiencies, right? Is the customer success productive? Are they able to drive up renewal, drive down churn, move the needle on customer success? And from a customer success perspective, I 100% agree. Does the customer getting the ROI, the value that they were looking for? The trick part in that is, how do you know they're getting the value? So that takes several iterations, and for that reason, you need to have this flexibility to think through the objective you're trying to accomplish.
Great. I know that we're almost coming up on the 45 minutes, so I just wanted to let everyone know that if you have to hop off, totally understandable. We're displaying right here the best way to get in touch with either Totango or Conductor to learn more. So contact us. Feel free to send emails asking us more questions. So for Totango, Totango.com, both companies are on Twitter at Totango and at Conductor. And both Guy and Seth are available to be contacted if you'd like to ask them more direct personal questions. So contact us, and we'd love to continue the conversation. Seth, any final words to wrap up, and then we'll hand it over to Guy too?
Yeah, I think it's an exciting time, and customers. I just think customer success can have such an impact on the business, and it's something that you can always do better. So get excited about the incremental improvement, and while you focus on the longer term vision.
Yeah, and I would like to thank Seth for first being a customer of Totango and willing to share his wisdom and experience from the last several years of both running a SaaS company, founding and running a SaaS company that is leading in the web presence management space, and willing to talk to us and share his insights. That was really exciting, Seth. Thanks very much for joining us.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for doing what you guys do.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And the replay will be available on our website within 24 hours, and we'll be emailing it out to everyone. Again, thank you for your time, and have a great day. Thanks.